Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about Stuff That by Adam Millard. And I can't read who this is from, but I love that cover, and I'm going to read back cover copy. I'm going to try to, very small print. But I don't know if I could nutshell this very well. So, always good to go with back cover copy. Ted Barker has been running Barker's Taxidermy Emporium. We stuff things so that you can stare at their dead eyes forever for decades. Business is booming thanks to the busy London roads and the stupidity of cats. But when Don Paparelli, a local gangster, arrives at the shop, everything changes. The proprietor is gunned down in cold blood, and with seemingly no witnesses, Don Paparella, and did I say that the first time? Don Paparella and his lackeys go on with their plot to run London. But the taxidermy saw it all. And now Buffalo Bill, Vladimir the unicycling rat, Jemima/Jessica the two-headed duck, Hooter the racist owl, Jerry the baby giraffe, and Fairfax the posh fox are out for blood. With the help of a pair of 1980s buddy cops, Rix and Murto, the taxidermy will stop at nothing to avenge their creator. Dead animals never pelt so good. Oh, the puns. So, there you go. For the too long didn't watch, folks, I have not rated this yet on Goodreads, but I'm pretty sure I'm giving it 4 out of 5. So, this book is a comedy with very little horror. I do think that cover, as much as I love it, slightly misleading. Although, when you read the back cover copy and you get to the part about a pair of 1980s buddy cops, Rix and Murto, that's how I'm pronouncing Murto. I think, reading that, you should know what you're getting into. But I didn't quite know what I was getting into. There was something somewhere about this. Maybe it was on Amazon or someplace that said something about didn't know if this was a sequel or something else, because I'm all over the place here, I understand. Adam Millard has a book called, I believe it's called Die Lethal, which is a straight up parody of 80s action movies with Rix and Murto, and the cover is straight up, again, action movie parody. It also includes a bald New York detective trying to fight terrorists or something. I haven't read it, although I think I will now. But obviously, parodying 80s action movies, and there's a lot of that going on in here. I was looking for taxidermy coming to life to avenge their creator. And I know that's an absurd concept, but I think even in the straightest of horror novels, there have been some absurd ideas about what the evil thing is inside, and plenty of comedy horror with crazy things killing people. And again, that cover, I love that cover. I love the beat up look to it, and it looks like it's going to be some crazy horror story. Did not expect a straight horror story. I knew this was going to be comedy. Didn't quite know what type. Now, there's a blurb on the front from Ginger Nuts of Horror that says, if Douglas Adams on amphetamines writing comedy horror remotely appeals, you need Millard in your life. And I do think there are traces of Douglas Adams in here. But sorry, Adam, doesn't reach the heights of Douglas Adams comedy. I think Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is still the funniest book I have ever read. Although I should reread it. It's been a long time. I don't know if it holds up. But what we have here, we meet Ted Barker right off the bat. We get an idea of what type of comedy we're looking at. Because this ugly woman comes in with an ugly child and a dead cat. And she sends her kid out because the kid's so ugly. Ted Barker's going to throw up. Says, can she wait outside the shop? The kid goes outside the shop and then calls in, hey, Mom, there's a man in a van that says he'll give me some sweets. And the mom just says, well, what kind of sweets? And the kid answers, oh, he says they're such and such. I can't remember what they are. And the mom's like, no, you don't like those. They make your mouth black. And then the little girl says, my mom says I don't like those. They make my mouth black. And then you hear a car taking off. Weird stuff like that. But anyway, we meet Ted Barker. We meet some other people in the town. But these mafia guys come in. And I'm not going to get into those characters. I don't want to spoil it and the humor. But they're trying to take over the town with their protection racket. Ted Barker stands up to him, ends up dead. Not spoiling anything. It's on the back cover copy. And then the taxidermied animals that have witnessed it are enraged that their creator has been killed, and they want revenge. And this leads to all sorts of crazy shenanigans. And of course, the police come to investigate. There's been a murder. And so we're introduced to Rix and Murto. Rix has a mullet, and he's crazy. And likes to dislocate his shoulder and then pop it back in. And Murto is old. He's very close to retirement. As a matter of fact, he's too old for this shit. He's married and has a family. And Rix is obsessed with criminals from South Africa. And there's a lot of... it gets very meta, where Rix mentions the actual actresses from some of the Lethal Weapon movies, as opposed to even just their character names. He straight up mentions the actresses' names. Now, some of the jokes get driven into the ground, such as the I'm too old for this shit joke. It has to be at least a dozen times. I could be wrong, but I swear it's at least a dozen times that comes up. Some jokes I enjoy. Now, again, from the back cover copy where it says, Barker's Taxidermy Emporium, parentheses, we stuff things so that you can stare at their dead eyes forever, parentheses. I think every time they mention a business, it has that sort of thing. It has their tagline in parentheses afterwards. And it's not always the same tagline. So I found that funny because it wasn't the same tagline every time. Or the same tagline for every business. Although that would have been a joke in and of itself. But... so it's just very... It is that Douglas Adams type of humor. I want to say it's that Scary Movie or Airplane or Hot Shots type of humor, because it is parodying certain things. Very much the 80s buddy action cop comedy. And so we have also all the characters are quirky, and the taxidermy animals themselves are quirky. The rat on the unicycle speaks in broken English because he's a Russian rat. The owl is... Does it say he's casually racist? Oh, it just says Hooter the racist owl. I mean, that's an interesting character. And Fairfax, the posh fox, was just finished. Ted Barker had just finished putting together Fairfax in his waistcoat with his pocket watch and his monocle and everything when he's gunned down. So he's new to this group, but a fun character. The two-headed duck. The two heads are always arguing. Bit of a trope when you have something with two heads, but it works. And the baby giraffe, everything. Very, very fun. But it did take me a while to sort of let go of my expectations, and let the craziness just sort of wash over me. So I was not sure at first what my rating would be. Sometimes there's just occasionally, well, some books are so bad I don't even finish them, and then I don't rate them because I didn't finish them. Some books, I have an idea early on what I'm going to rate them simply based on what I've read in the first however many pages, let's say 50, and either they sort of stay at that same level and it turns out the way I expected, not plot-wise, just sort of, you know what I'm saying, I think. And sometimes I'm surprised and my rating will go up. With this, I don't believe I've ever read any Adam Millard before. And I knew it was going to be funny, but I expected something different. And I had to get over those expectations to find my joy in reading this book. So, Stuff That by Adam Millard is very funny. Not as funny as Douglas Adams. And I'm definitely going to be reading more. I know he has at least one, I'm pretty sure, at least one book that's straight up horror. October Boys, I believe it's called. And then, obviously, Die Lethal. Again, I think that's the name of it. Straight up parody, but I'd like to read that. On the back here, we've got a couple other covers of his. Milk, I have no idea what that is. And then Jurassic Car Park. So a lot of parody stuff from Adam Millard. And I'm definitely going to be checking out more. But, and man, again, love that cover. This is one of those books pretty much purchased because of the cover. But I did like the synopsis as well. So again, Stuff That, Adam Millard, 4 out of 5 stars. Very funny. Very interesting characters. Just some over-the-top craziness. Some gory stuff, a little bit. Nothing extreme. But things do get a little wild. I recommend it. If you're in the mood for something light, something that's going to make you laugh. I laughed out loud a number of times. Again, not as often as reading Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But there are laugh out loud moments. There are inner chuckle moments. It was a lot of fun. So there you have it. Question for the video. Don't know if I've asked this before. I know I've talked about horror comedies before. What are your thoughts on horror comedy? Some people think they don't mix. I'm a fan if it's done well. Shaun of the Dead, absolutely banger of a movie. Perfect mix of comedy and horror. It's not a spoof. The comedy comes from the people in the movie, how they react to things, how they interact with each other. The horror is absolutely just straight up horrific. And there are some horrifying moments in that movie. But I also enjoy something like Scary Movie. At least the first couple. They get a little really stupid the later you get into the series. Not that the first two aren't stupid, but they're fun. They're more fun, I think. And they're also a little more focused. The first one is basically Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer. And then the second one is basically The Haunting. You know, some other things thrown in there. But yes, I enjoy good horror comedy as long as it's well written. If we're talking books, I mean, it's got to be well written as a movie too, but there are other factors as well. But Jeff Strand generally writes great horror comedy. His novelization of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, easily in my top 10 funniest books. Excuse me. So, yes, because if you looked at my movie collection, majority is horror, and second to that is comedy. So I'm a big fan of both genres. And straight horror, my true love. But every once in a while, I want something a little crazy, a little silly. But what about you? Whether it's books or movies, what are your thoughts on horror comedy? Let me know in the comments below. And if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, I'll have links for my Instagram and Blue Sky in the description below. That's all I've got. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.